Elias Rowe had seen plenty of downed ships before, usually belching smoke and the smell of scorched bodies, but this one was different. Sleek black plating etched with strange glyphs. Organic curves, not mechanical edges. The wreck had torn a long scar through the jungle floor of Kalos 4, and at the end of it, buried beneath twisted whole metal, was the thing he'd never expected to find. Her. He crouched at the edge of the crash, rifle slung behind him, palm hovering over the pistol on his belt. The air sizzled with heat and static. The Zerati were monsters in the propaganda vids, beasts with claws, venomous breath, and no capacity for mercy. But the figure half buried in twisted plating looked eerily human. Long limbs, obsidian armor cracked along her shoulder. A slash across her ribs leaked blue blood into the vines. She was unconscious, but still breathing, shallow, ragged. A breathing mask hung from her jaw, damaged beyond use. "This is suicide," Elias muttered. He should have walked away. Radioed command. Let the orbit cannons finish her off when they scanned for Zerati lifeforms. But he didn't move. Instead, his boots sank into the wet soil as he stepped closer, past the scorched vines, his shadow falling over her collapsed frame. Her eyelids twitched. Pale silver irises flicked open. "Human," she rasped, voice thick and raw. "Die slow." Then she passed out. Elias exhaled slowly. No need to take it personal. He dropped to one knee, reached for the med patch on his hip. The blue blood steamed slightly as he peeled away the broken plating. She had 3 cracked ribs, or ruptured organ, he couldn't tell which, but she was drowning internally. He knew that sound. Had heard it on Mars, during the siege. A girl about 12, shrapnel in her lungs. He didn't save her. He wouldn't fail again. He sealed the worst of the wounds, covered her with a thermal wrap from his pack. Every minute he lingered, the odds of patrols, his or hers, finding him multiplied. Still, he took a moment to cradle her head gently and whisper, "You're going to hate me for this." Then he lifted her. She was lighter than expected, but armor plates bit into his shoulder. She groaned softly as he shifted her weight, but didn't wake. 40 miles to the relay tower. Jungle all the way. No open trails. No roads. Just dense, wet green and things that didn't like being disturbed. He took his first step. Then another. The vines closed behind him. 2 hours in, Elias' shirt clung to him like a second skin. The Queen's breathing stayed weak but steady. Her head bobbed against his back as he trudged forward. Somewhere above, a recon drone buzzed. He dropped flat behind a ridge, covering them both with leaves. The drone paused, hovering, scanning. He held his breath. It passed. Only when they were faded into nothing did he sit back against a root and let out the breath he'd been holding. A faint voice murmured near his ear. "Why?" The Queen's eyes fluttered open. She tried to move but winced, breath-catching. "You, traitor?" "Not a traitor. Not a killer either," Elias said. "You're not a prisoner. Just someone I didn't want to see die." "Weakness," she hissed. "Compassion," he corrected, standing. "If that's weakness, we've been calling it the wrong thing." She laughed, or tried to. It came out a broken cough. "Your kind ends mercy with bullets." "So do yours," he shot back, adjusting her weight on his shoulders. "That's why I'm carrying you." By nightfall, the jungle got louder. Screeches. Wings slapping against trees. Predators began to stalk. He spotted movement in the brush, too quiet, too fast. Not human. Not beast. Zerati. Elias ducked behind a fallen tree and laid her down carefully. Her eyes opened again. She tensed. "My people. They'll think you're taking me hostage. You want me to leave you here instead?" She paused. Looked at his bleeding hand from a torn vine. "No," she said. A glimmer of something crossed her face, uncertainty. Grudging respect? Then stay quiet. He smeared ash over his skin, masked their heat signature as best he could. The Zerati scouts passed, 3 of them, silent, weapons drawn. One paused near their hiding place. Elias didn't blink. Minutes passed. The danger faded. He let out a breath, sat back down beside her. She whispered, "They'll kill you if they catch you." "I know. Why risk it?" "Because I was a medic before this war," he said. "And you're bleeding. Doesn't matter what skin you're in." She was silent for a while. Then, "You're strange for a human. You're quiet for a queen." Another pause. "My name is Serathea," she murmured. "Heir of flame. First ton of the Black Star." "Elias Rowe," he said, extending a cracked water capsule toward her lips. "Just a guy trying not to let this planet kill us." She drank. No more words that night. By dawn, he'd made it 8 more miles. A ravine blocked his path. The bridge, a natural arch of stone, had half collapsed. Only a narrow edge remained. He adjusted her carefully. "Hold on," he said. "I can't," she whispered. "Too weak." He didn't reply. Just stepped onto the ledge. 1 foot in front of the other. Halfway across, the stone crumbled beneath him. He dropped, legs dangling, one arm gripping the ledge, the other holding her tightly. For one terrifying second, he nearly let go of her. She looked up at him, eyes wide, terrified. "Drop me," she gasped. "Save yourself." He grunted. "Not how I do things." With a growl, he swung sideways, kicked off the rock, and landed hard on the other side. He rolled, protecting her with his body. He didn't get up right away. Eventually, she stirred in his arms. Her fingers brushed his face, softly this time. "You're not like the others." "Neither are you," he replied. They didn't say anything else for a long while. The jungle moved around them, but for once, it didn't feel hostile. Elias awoke to the sound of low growling. The morning light was barely cutting through the canopy when he sat up, hand instinctively reaching for his knife. The jungle around them shifted, no birdsong, no wind. Just a stillness that screamed danger. The queen stirred, her breath uneven. "What is it?" "Something watching us," he murmured. "Stay down." He grabbed a jagged stone, rubbed it against the hilt of his blade to mask their scent with mineral dust. A rustle to the left. Something heavy. Then came the stench, wet fur, decay, blood. "Jungle drac," she whispered, eyes wide. "Carnivore. 4 hearts. Thick hide. Don't run." Too late. The beast lunged. Elias didn't run. He shoved the queen behind a rock and rolled to the side just as claws raked the ground where she'd lain. The creature was massive, 6 legs, iridescent scales shimmering between black and moss green, a horned snout sniffing for warmth. Elias moved fast. He leapt onto its back, driving the knife into a soft gap behind its front shoulder. The blade stuck, the beast shrieked and reared. Elias was thrown. He landed hard, back screaming. The drac turned. Serathea stood between it and Elias, weak but upright. She raised her hand, palm glowing faintly. A pulse of sound hit the creature, vibrations in a frequency Elias couldn't hear, but felt. The drac shrieked again and backed away, then turned and vanished into the trees. Silence returned. She collapsed. Elias scrambled to her, cradling her carefully. "What the hell was that?" "Command tone," she murmured, barely conscious. "Used on lesser creatures. Costs me." She coughed. "Too much energy." "You saved me," he said, blinking. She gave a faint smirk. Balance. They moved slower that day. Elias' ribs throbbed. His left leg dragged a little more than it had yesterday. She was lighter now, fever had set in, and he could feel her trembling against his back. He stopped in a shaded clearing and lowered her gently onto a flat stone. "You're burning up," he said, applying another cooling patch. You could have left me. Still not planning to. She stared at the sky for a while. Her voice was quieter this time. In our history, she began, no human has ever shown mercy. Your kind strikes, then speaks. I believed it, taught it, led wars because of it. And now? Now. I don't know what to believe. Later, they passed an abandoned Zerati outpost. Bones lay scattered across the moss, human and alien alike. A shattered comms array poked from the ground like a broken tooth. Elias searched the bodies. He found a water purifier, some dried rations, and a flare gun with one charge. He looked up to see her staring at a body in silver ceremonial armor. She knelt. He was my cousin. Elias watched her face. There was no weeping, no visible grief, just the steel silence of someone used to loss. I led them here, she said. Thought it would be a victory. It wasn't your fault, Elias offered. She turned to him. It was. That's why I must survive, to make sure I'm the last one who fails them. By evening, a storm rolled in. Thick, gray clouds gathered like bruises above the canopy. The downpour hit hard, drenching them within seconds. They found shelter under a rock overhang. Elias built a tiny fire using his last thermal spark. He laid her close to it, fed her ration water, and stripped off his jacket to let it dry. She watched him quietly. Why do you help me? She asked again. Really? He took a long breath. I used to think killing the enemy would end the war. He looked at his hands. But every time I pulled the trigger, someone else picked up a gun. Someone angry. Someone grieving. She said nothing for a moment, then nodded slowly. There's an old saying among my people, only the kindest enemy can end the war. I thought it meant extinction. Now, maybe it means something else. The rain continued for hours. They spoke little. But she didn't look away from him anymore. The next day, they reached the ridge. From the top, the jungle opened into a vast clearing. On one side, a human outpost shimmered in the distance, tall fences, radio towers, patrol routes. On the other, a Zerati supply base nestled beneath the cliffs. In the center, the neutral zone, a demilitarized stretch both armies had once agreed not to violate. We head east, Elias said. That's away from both sides. It buys us time. If either side sees us now, they'll shoot first. He adjusted the straps on his pack. There's a relay beacon in the old mining tunnel east of here. Still got one signal burst left. That's where we're going. She looked at him long. You carry me through death. Now you walk into it. He chuckled dryly. Story of my life. They reached the neutral zone by sunset. Vines hung low, the ground slippery from runoff. Their footsteps squelched through mud and rotting leaves. Then came a sharp click. Elias froze. 3 Zerati assassins stepped from the underbrush, black-clad, rifles drawn, skin painted with war stripes. The lead one aimed square at Elias. Release the queen. Serathea forced herself upright. Her voice cracked, but it carried. Stand down. He is under my protection. The assassins hesitated. Their rifles dipped slightly. My queen, one said. You are wounded. We were told you fell. Arakhthal prepares retribution. Earth's colonies. Retract that order, she snapped. You'll kill billions over a lie. But obey your sovereign. They stepped back. Elias exhaled. But then came the human voices. From behind. Drop the weapon. Earth soldiers, 6 of them, entered from the opposite side, guns raised, faces tight. She's Zerati. You're aiding the enemy. Elias raised his hands. She saved my life. I saved hers. She's not a threat. Orders are clear. No Zerati leaves this jungle alive. He stepped between the queen and their rifles. Then you'll have to shoot me too. The standoff locked. 12 guns. Two sides. One man in the middle. Serathia stood beside him. No longer hiding. No longer weak. "Let me speak," she said quietly. The soldiers hesitated. "I am not conquered. I was rescued," she declared. "This man showed me something neither side has dared offer, mercy. Let this be the day we stop feeding the fire." Her voice rang across the clearing. No one moved. Not yet. But for the first time. No one fired. No one moved. Rain dripped from tree limbs. Steam rose from the ground, mingling with tension so thick it seemed to hum. Elias didn't blink. His body ached from 3 days of carrying her. His arms trembled from exhaustion. But his stance never wavered. The Queen's voice had stopped the bullets. "For now. Lower your weapons," she said again, calm, deliberate. Earth Sergeant Durrell, a stocky man with a jagged scar across his cheek, raised his chin. "Can't do that. HQ says eliminate all Zarati assets. No exceptions." "And what if your exception is peace?" Elias countered. The soldiers didn't answer. Neither did the Zarati assassins. They stood like statues, waiting for orders they didn't trust. Serathia stepped forward. Her legs shook. Elias reached to steady her, but she brushed him off. Her gaze swept both factions. "You think you are enemies," she said, voice rising. "But you are trapped in the same fire. We burn each other and call it strength. I was part of that. I fed it." She turned to Elias. "Until this one carried me through the inferno, and did not let go." A flicker passed through the soldiers. Doubt. Curiosity. Confusion. From the jungle behind them, a new sound emerged. The static hum of a long-range broadcast. A holodrone descended from above, circular, glowing blue, marked with the Zarati crest. Elias tensed. So did she. It projected the face of General Arakhthol. Gray-skinned, eyes like molten stone, his expression was carved from contempt. "Serathia," he growled. "So the rumors are true. You survived." "I did," she replied, chin high. "And now you stand beside a human. You disgrace our blood." "No," she said. "I honor it. I speak not with a rifle, but with truth." Arakhthol bared his fangs. "You are not my queen anymore." She held her ground. "Then kill me. But hear me first." The drone hesitated. Protocols flickered across its side. Recording. Broadcasting. Thousands watching. "I was carried 40 miles through jungle, storms, beasts, by a human," she said. "He saved me without knowing who I was. He could have used me. He didn't. He asked for nothing." She turned to the human soldiers. "I saw your kind through a lens of fear and arrogance. Now I see truth. You bleed. You break. And yet you protect." The general snarled. "Do not romanticize weakness." "Then perhaps weakness is stronger than hate," she shot back. "Because hate has never carried me." Arakhthol leaned forward on the screen. "You think they will let you live? Even now? Watch." He barked a command. From orbit, the kill order deployed. 3 Zarati warships angled toward Earth's colony line, charging weapons. The soldiers looked to the sky. Horror spread across their faces. Elias stepped forward, voice steel. "You fire, and she dies. So do I. And you burn the last voice in your empire willing to end this war." Silence. Then the Queen raised her wrist, a band of black steel embedded with a blinking crystal. Her thumb pressed it. A sharp beep. A transmission key. Override authorization, Serathia Zenar, blood code 913. The ships paused. Glowing. Waiting. "Cancel strike," she ordered. Immediately. The drone pulsed red. Then dimmed. Strike aborted. The soldiers lowered their rifles slowly. 10 minutes later, they stood inside the abandoned mining relay. Its walls were cracked, vines tangled through broken supports, but the console flickered when Elias connected his transmitter. "Signals holding," he muttered. The Queen rested against the wall, her breathing shallow but steady. He turned to her. "Are you ready for what comes next?" "Am I ready to be called a traitor by my people?" she said. "I already am. But if treason ends the war," she looked at him, "then I'll carry that burden." He keyed in the last code. The message went out, to Earth Command, to the Zarati High Council, to the neutral systems. A single line. "The war is over, if we let it be." They waited. Night fell. The stars bled through the torn ceiling. She broke the silence. "You asked why I came to Kalos for." Elias turned his head. "It wasn't just strategy," she said. "It was prophecy. Our oldest texts said, 'In the jungle, the blood of fire shall meet the soul of ash. From it, a choice will be born.' I didn't believe in riddles. Until now." He gave a tired laugh. "I'm no prophecy. You are mercy with feet blistered and hands bleeding. That is rarer than fate." He looked down at his boots. "I just carried someone who needed saving." She leaned toward him, voice soft. "That's exactly why you changed everything." Dawn came slowly. The comm beeped once, connection locked. A reply coming in. Elias stood. Outside the tunnel, morning fog rose through the vines. The jungle was quiet. No gunships. No war horns. No death. Just breath. Behind him, she pulled herself upright. Limping. Wounded. Alive. "Where will you go now?" he asked. She looked toward the horizon. Back to the stars. To speak. To fight, but not with weapons. She looked at him then. "What about you?" He shrugged. "There's always someone else to carry." A beat passed. Then she stepped close. She touched his chest, light, careful, reverent. "Your people will remember you as a warrior." He smiled faintly. "No. Just a man who walked." A month later, Elias stood on Earth again. Not in a parade, not before cameras. Just on a quiet cliff near New Patagonia, boots planted in the cold dirt, eyes on the ocean below. The war had ended in a way no one expected, not with victory, but with silence. Ships stood down. Guns cooled. Orders paused. And the Queen vanished into the stars, leaving behind only her voice, broadcast to every system she once ruled. "The war stops with me. If you follow strength, follow restraint." Some called it surrender. Others called it betrayal. Elias knew it for what it was, choice. Behind him, footsteps crunched. A familiar voice. "You know, they want to put your face on a coin." He turned. Colonel Rios. Trim, gruff, never out of uniform, even now. "Don't," Elias said. Rios smirked. "Too late. You're a symbol whether you like it or not." "I didn't ask to be." "Doesn't matter. You carried a queen and ended a war. That's going to make history, even if it breaks protocol." Elias folded his arms. The wind whipped at his jacket. "They want a story," he muttered. "But not the real one." Rios leaned on the railing beside him. "Then tell it right. The brass won't stop you. Hell, they want you to talk." "The piece is shaky." "She made the hard call," Elias said. "I just walked." "You made the call not to let her die," Rios countered. "That's harder than pulling a trigger." That evening, Elias sat at a dimly lit terminal in his quarters. The screen blinked with a message waiting for reply. From Sirathea, Council Station 9X. Subject, Debrief in Progress Report. He hovered over the keyboard. Didn't type. Instead, he played the attached video. It opened with her standing before the new unified council, human, Zerati, and a dozen other species that had once picked sides in blood. Her robes were stripped of insignia. Simple. Clean. Her voice, however, was unshaken. We call peace weak. But I have felt the weight of war, bone, blood, breath, and the mercy that carried it. You taught me more in those 40 miles than my empire taught in 400 years. The hall was silent when the feed ended. Elias leaned back, rubbing a scar on his forearm that hadn't quite healed. He finally typed. I'm not sure what to call what we built out there. It wasn't diplomacy. It wasn't strategy. It was survival. But if that's enough to change an empire, then maybe we don't need heroes. We just need more people willing to carry each other a little farther than they're supposed to. He paused. Then added. You asked me what comes next. I don't know. But if you ever fall again, I'll still be walking. He hit send. A week passed. The galaxy didn't explode. It didn't collapse into chaos. It simply adjusted. Some border planets refused the peace. Skirmishes flared, then died out. The ones who wanted blood found no orders behind them anymore. No purpose. Just silence. New treaties formed. Patrols shifted to rescue ops. Soldiers were reassigned, not to war zones, but to rebuilding. On Kalos 4, the jungle grew over the scars. The drac nests multiplied. Life went on. And in a dusty old hall in Geneva, Elias was called to testify. He stood alone before the Earth High Tribunal, not in uniform, but in field gear, the same jacket he'd worn on the march. Torn sleeve, stained with ash. Captain Rowe, the lead magistrate, began, You disobeyed orders, aided the enemy, and broke several interspecies combat protocols. Yes, Elias said. Do you have anything to say in your defense? He looked out across the room. Soldiers. Politicians. A few civilians. Faces skeptical, cold. Then he spoke. I found someone dying in a wreck. I had supplies. I had time. So I carried her. That's it. That's all it was at first. He met their eyes. But what it became, you all saw the result. I didn't choose peace because it was part of the mission. I chose it because carrying her was the first time in years I felt like a human being again. The room stayed still. No gavel fell. They simply let him walk out. Weeks later, in a quiet temple garden on Zephyra, once a battlefield world, the queen removed her gloves and touched soil for the first time since Kalos. She smiled softly. Behind her, an aide approached with a small black case. It's done. The metal has been minted. She took it. Opened it. Inside, a symbol not of empire, but of journey. 2 footprints in silver, crossing. No weapons. No crowns. Just a path. What should we call it, Majesty? She closed the case. The metal of the walk, she said. And it belongs to him. Back on Earth, Elias sat in a coastal cafe. Alone, mostly ignored. He preferred it that way. A girl approached, 10, maybe 11. Shy. Holding something behind her back. Are you the man from the jungle? She asked. He looked up. Tired eyes, soft smile. I guess I am. She handed him a folded paper. A drawing. Crude but clear, a man carrying a tall, glowing figure through a storm, jungle trees looming around them. Our teacher said we should draw someone who saved people. Elias blinked. Words caught in his throat. Thanks, he whispered. The girl smiled and ran back to her classmates. He stared at the drawing for a long time. And then, very quietly, folded it and placed it inside his jacket, over his heart.